Look Both Ways, A Tale Told in 10 Blocks by Jason Reynolds. Chapter 9, Rogers Street. How a Boy Can Become a Grease Fire. Gregory Pitt's friends love him so much that they told him the truth. And the truth was, he smelled dead, like rotten. It wasn't that he was rotten, but just that he smelled like his body had mistaken its organs for garbage, and that he was essentially a walking, talking trash can. And on this, of all days, that smell just wasn't going to cut it. So, in an act of service and sheer desperation, Remar Vaughn, Joey Santiago, and Candace Green, Gregory's crew, decide to help him out because today was a day of romance. Before we get going, you sure you good, Candace? Joey asked. I heard what happened to Bryson. Bryson was Candace's cousin. He'd gotten jumped the day before. Yeah, it's cool. Bry's a tough kid, Candace said. Plus, we walking that way, so as soon as we get done with Loverboy here, I'm going to stop by and see him. Cool, well, first thing we need to do is get you smelling right. Remar, who they all called Remy, said to Gregory. They had all met up by the benches in the front of the school. You got the stuff, right? Candace asked Remy. You know it. What is it? And why y'all talking about it like it's... Gregory caught himself. Know what? It don't even matter, as long as it works. Oh, it'll work, Joey said, bouncing his eyebrows. Remy dug around his backpack and pulled out a can of body spray. Now, Justin gets this stuff from the gas station. He says it's basically deodorant for your whole body. Justin was Remy's older brother, and he was always right. Let Remy tell it. He popped the top off the canister. Close your eyes. And then, psst, he sprayed Gregory from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. A spritz or two even got in his mouth, sending Gregory gagging and coughing. Hold still, Candace ordered, while Remy spun Gregory around and sprayed all down his back. It smelled like a combination of burnt flowers and burnt rubber. But that was better than Gregory's normal smell. The smell of all day funk. No spraying, Ms. Wockley yelled, pointing at Gregory and his friends. You know the rules. Go away if you want to spray. Ms. Wockley's frustration came from the fact that there was always someone spraying something in the hallway. Always a perfume or cologne that was supposed to help, but ended up taking stink up to stank. But this is a special case. Either way, Ms. Wockley's outrage was hilarious to Gregory, Remy, Joey, and Candace, so the four of them cracked all the way up. Go away if you want to spray, Candace repeated with a hoot. She a poet and she don't know it. A rapper that looked like a napper, Remy followed. A spitter way too bitter, Joey came in third. All their jokes matched the corniness of Ms. Wockley's non-joke, which made them laugh even harder. Gregory half choking because laugh plus spray equals choke. They started walking, but they weren't walking home like they normally did. They lived in the Southview apartments, but decided today that they would walk over to Rogers Street because that's where Sandra White lived. Gregory had been trying to work up the courage to tell her that he liked her and wanted to know if maybe they could be boyfriend and girlfriend, even though he hated the way that sounded. Sounded trash. Together was what he preferred to call it. He had told Remy, Joey, and Candace that he wanted to do this, and they were in full support and along for the ride. Not to mention, Candace was the only one who knew where Sandra lived. She and Sandra were closer when they were younger, but they were still cool. Even though they were all in support of Gregory shooting his shot, they also told him that he'd need to prepare. He'd need to make sure he was ready and to put his best foot forward, first and foremost. He needed to not smell like a forward foot. He needed to smell better than the lunchroom, better than the locker room. Yeah, so I just hit you with the ooh, and now you're ready for some la la, Remy said. He was always saying corny stuff like that, mainly because he swore he was some kind of mastermind when it came to approaching girls, thanks to Justin, even though Candace told him every chance she got that he wasn't. I think you hit him with too much ooh, like smells more like you, Candace joked, curling her top lip up under her nostrils. But it was better than before, and since the smell part was worked out, it was time for her to explain the importance of moisturizing. Now that you don't stink, we got to make sure you ain't dry. Candace pulled a bottle of lotion the size of a shoe out of her backpack. Gregory's eyes widened and his brows furrowed, leaving him with a look of astonishment and fear. What the? Where you get that? He yelped, slowly relaxing his forehead. Found this in my mother's bathroom, Candace explained as they walked up to the corner where Ms. Post, the crossing guard, stood. Ms. Post blew the whistle, and they all walked across the street and to the left, heading down Portal Avenue. Hold up so I can do this, Candace said. Can't walk and lotion at the same time. The boys held up while Candace pumped the lotion into her hand, jamming the plunger down over and over again until she had enough to turn sidewalk to slip and slide. Let's start with them paws, she said, reaching out for Gregory's right hand. She began with his fingertips, then worked her way up, making sure to give extra attention to the webbing in between, which made Gregory snicker, then onto his wrist, up his forearm, and then she stopped. Elbows are important. Elbows? Gregory was confused. Elbows, Joey chimed in. You don't want Sandra thinking your elbow's so dry that your arm is going to crack and break in half if you try to hug her, do you? Candace asked, all kinds of serious. I mean, that wouldn't happen. Gregory looked at Joey and Remy. They didn't say a word, so he repeated himself. That wouldn't happen, right? Joey just dropped his chin. Wow. What? Now Gregory was really confused. That wouldn't happen, he says. Remy scoffed. Did everybody hear that? He said, that wouldn't happen. Let me tell you something, Gregory Pitt. I've heard stories, horror stories, about dry boys who try to be romantic, and they end up a pile of paint chips. You don't want to be paint chips, my brother, do you? No. Then let me do my magic on these elbows, Candace commanded. Then she went to work, first on his right elbow, circles with center of her palm, then pincher claw rubs with the tips of her finger for optimal moisturizing. When his arm was as shiny as Mr. Devanzo's bald head, she started over, this time with the left hand, fingers, wrist, forearm, and again, elbow. Okay, Gregory said, pulling away, a little embarrassed by the attention. Plus, people were walking by watching Gregory get worked on like some kind of car. But he could feel the difference. His fingers felt like they'd been freed from casts. Lotion. Who knew? Not done yet. Candace pumped more lotion from the bottle. Not done, he squawked. What good is all this if we don't ever make it to her house? We will, Joey assured him. And the real question is, what good is it making it to her house when all she's going to do is wonder why your hands and elbows glistening and your face looks like you just got jumped by 17 giant pieces of chalk and they only gave you headshots? Remy threw fake punches in the air. Exactly, Candace said, another glob of lotion piled in her hand. Come here. Gregory came a little closer as Candace rubbed her hands together. Then she slapped them on his cheeks. Gregory squirmed, but Candace wouldn't let up, pressing at his face like she was trying to rub smudges off of fresh sneakers, getting the creases of his nose and the corners of his mouth. Oh, and his earlobes. Even Remy and Joey were a little puzzled by that one, but they figured Candace knew what she was doing. A school bus pulled up to the stop sign at the corner, the clack of a window dropping. Hey! A boy from the bus yelled. Candace, Remy, and Joey turned and looked, but not Gregory. Candace clasped his face in her hands. You might as well give up. No matter how hard you try, that Ugg mug won't come off. The boy spoke like his tongue was too big for his mouth, spit flying everywhere. Thank God, Candace shouted, because it might look like yours underneath. Then we'd really be in trouble, Remy followed. Joey didn't say nothing, just started searching the ground for a rock or something to throw, but the bus moved on. Candace brushed it off, then went back to business, rubbing her palm on Gregory's forehead, polishing it. There, she said at last, stepping back, admiring her work. You look not bad. That was as far as she could go. Any compliment more than that was gross. I'm ready? Gregory asked, eyeing Candace's backpack nervously. Almost, Joey said, now unzipping his backpack. What now? Gregory took 2 steps backward. Well, here's the thing. There's only really one other thing you need to be ready for this. Something for your lips. What? Gregory took 2 more steps backward. Relax, I'm just saying chapped lips are gross, Candace finished. Like, for real. I mean, seriously, what if we get to her house, you lay it all out on the table about how you feel about her and how you would like to get her phone number and blah, blah, blah. And she says, "Who cares about a phone number? Give me a kiss." Joey bounced his eyebrows. "Hold on, just so we clear, she won't say that," Candace clarified. "How you know?" Remy chimed. "Trust me, she won't. But she might be like, oh, he takes care of himself. Maybe one day I'll give him a kiss. Your first smooch," Remy teased like he'd kissed anybody, but he hadn't. "But if your lips look like they look right now, which is white with that weird burn ring around your mouth," Joey started, but Candace cut him off. "Stop licking your lips so much, bro. It's gross and it makes you smell like spit, which, when added to the underarm stench, makes you smell like throw up. And as your friend and as a girl who happens to unfortunately like boys, I'm telling you it's a deal breaker." Candace's words sizzled, stung. "Wow, thanks for your honesty, I guess," Gregory said. "It's because I love you," Candace said, shrugging. "So, with that being said," Joey pulled his hand out of his bag. In it was a Ziploc bag of goop. "Got this from my mom's room. It don't come like this. I just couldn't risk taking the whole container out of there because she would know and ultimately murder me. And I don't want to die before Gregory gets a kiss." "Or before you get one," Remy said. "Or before you get one," Joey shot back. "Wait, hold up." Gregory got back to business. "I gotta use all that?" "No," from Candace. "No," from Remy. "Come on, man," Joey said with a laugh, pulling the bag open, the scent of menthol wafting out. "Now, this is medicated stuff, so take it easy." "Why? If it's medicated, then it should be good for me," Gregory said, dipping his fingers in. And before Joey could reply, Gregory slapped the glob on his mouth and started rubbing it in. Joey's mouth dropped open. "What?" Gregory asked, and a nanosecond later said, "Oh." And then, "Oh, wait, oh!" He started fanning his mouth with his hand. "It burns," he said, his eyes starting to water. "What you mean it burns?" Candace asked, hands on hips. "Joey, what you give him?" Remy snatched to the bag, scooped out a fingertip of the slime, sniffed. "Is this?" Sniffed again, held out his finger for Candace to smell. "Is this Vapo Rub?" Candace snatched to the bag and took a big huff. It opened her chest immediately. Joey nodded sheepishly. "Why would you give him Vapo Rub?" Remy pretended to slap Joey on the head. "We ain't have Vaseline, but this stuff got Vaseline in it, so I figured it's basically the same," Joey explained. "Dude, that's the stuff my mother rubs on me when I'm sick, and it goes into my skin and makes the whole inside of my body get cold," Remy said. "And don't your chest be greasy after she do it?" Joey asked. "I mean, exactly." Joey gave one single hard nod. "Not the same, Joey." Candace's face was somewhere between amused and annoyed. "How was I supposed to know he was going to treat it like pudding?" "Burning, guys! Burning, burning, burning!" Gregory panted. Candace and Remy began fanning Gregory's mouth, too. "Just imagine it's the burning sensation in your heart for Sandra." Joey pinched the bag closed inch by inch. Remy leaned into Gregory's ear, almost whispering in a fake, hypnotic voice, "Sandra." Then, because he couldn't help it, he added, "Sorry, ma'am." And with that, they continued on, down Portal Avenue until they got to Rogers Street, the whole way gassing Gregory up, trying to take his mind off his fire lips by telling him how much they believed in him and how Sandra will too. "What's not to love?" Candace said, doing everything she could to keep a straight face. And when they finally got to Sandra's house, Remy, Joey, and Candace hung back. "You ready?" Remy asked Gregory. "I think so," Gregory said, his lips still tingling. He pulled a piece of paper from his pocket, walked up the steps to Sandra's house, rang the doorbell, then ran back down the steps because Candace had been telling him how girls don't like when you're all in their space. "You don't gotta be this far away, fool," she muttered, nudging him forward. The door opened. Sandra poked her head out, looking confused. She still had on the sweatshirt she'd worn to school, light blue, yellow rectangles, a pattern that through Gregory's watery eyes, from his burning lips, looked like a bunch of school buses falling from the sky. "What's up, y'all?" she said, cocking her head, clearly trying to figure out what was going on. Gregory said nothing, just stood there, shiny, shaking. Greg, Remy prompted, put his hand on Gregory's back, another nudge. Greg got something to tell you, Sandra. Right, Greg? That was from Candace. Gregory nodded, unfolded the paper, started reading. Sandra, you always get questions right in class, and I think that's good. And you never say nothing bad about me, at least not to my face. And so I just wanted to know if I could have your phone number. Candace looked at Joey, Joey at Remy, Remy at Joey, at Candace at Gregory. They couldn't believe he'd done it. They couldn't believe he'd just asked her. Sandra walked down the steps, came right up on Gregory, twitched her nose, squinted as if the light bouncing off Gregory's shiny forehead was blinding her. He kept pursing his lips and blowing. What you doing? Sandra asked. You ain't trying to blow no kisses, are you? No, no! Gregory's voice jumped an octave. Maybe two. Almost whistle high. I wouldn't. It's just, my lips are burning. Oh, why? Vapor rub? Why you put that on your lips? I don't. It's hard to explain. Why you so greasy? That's hard to explain too. Why you smell like that? That's hard to explain. Sandra finished for him. Gregory nodded. Can you try? Gregory's hand started shaking, the paper vibrating like dry leaves in the wind. He looked down and started reading his note of compliments again. Halfway through, he glanced up. Sandra was smiling, and Gregory thought maybe it was the kind of smile that came just before laughing. Then Gregory thought, but maybe not.